Welcome back, Jim.
Thank you.
Did you have a good lunch? Good.
What did you have? TMI.
What? Some chips?
They're out of chips today.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
We're late. Oh, man.
I know. Oh, wait. How'd you find it? I guess you gotta go into it twice.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. That's crazy. You move it, but then you gotta go back. I don't know, it's not so.
Jen, are you busy on August 11th?
Oh, we see through that. Yeah.
Fitzgerald's being governing board.
They had it.
Okay. Me? Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to item 25, return homeownership for San Diegans, and I'm giving this over to Macaulay for the
Thank you, Madam Chair, appreciate it. Just on this housing item, this is basically that I'm bringing forward is about the dream of home ownership, Sloping Way here in San Diego County. Just got a feed here from, I guess, the Senate, just passed a bipartisan bill to try to restrict the number of single-family homes an entity or an investor could own. And it says that this bill would prevent any investor who owns 350 homes from buying any more. So I think it's a step in the right direction, but it's like okay, you have 349, not 350. Anyway, okay, so we're in San Diego County, we're facing an affordability crisis. The dream of home ownership just keeps slipping further away for young families, young people. Home ownership has long been a cornerstone of the economic stability for anyone and families. Only 13% of San Diego households can afford to purchase a median-priced home. So this board letter seeks to explore the feasibility of establishing a county-funded first-time homebuyer program to help make that dream come true for more hardworking families. The county currently administers 2 first-time homebuyer programs. The first is a down payment and closing cost assistance program, and a down payment assistance program. Both are funded by the state and federal government. So these are 2 great programs, and I want to be clear, this is not to duplicate these programs, but rather complement the programs. One of the options I'd like to see in the report back is a possibility of a program that allows for potential interest rate buy-down options so that we can increase the utilization of existing programs. Because the programs give money for help on down payments and things like that, but if you're paying $1 million for a home, your mortgage could be from $5,000 to $6,000 a month. So I'm looking for hopefully interest rate buy-down programs. So the county-funded program could essentially layer on top of these existing programs to increase the utilization. Last fiscal year, of the 2 programs combined, there were only 26 households were able to use and utilize the existing programs. And that's actually up. In previous years, it was in the single digits, the number of households that we were able to help out. So at the very least, we should ensure that we utilize the entire budget for the existing first-time homebuyer programs, because we're not using that entire budget. Rather than leaving out the money on the table, the dream of homeownership continues to slip away for the vast majority of our constituents. If we want our children and grandchildren to stay in San Diego County, we want to keep teachers here, firefighters here, small business owners here, college graduates here, we need to expand the access to high technology for first-time buyers. This is not a cure-all, it's just another step, a small step in the right direction to help more hardworking families. And again, this is to ask county staff to come back with a feasibility study for implementing a program like this. I'd like to make a motion to approve this item, and also I'd be happy to any friendly amendments that can help first-time home buyers here in San Diego County. So with that, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Russell Greenberg. We do have 8 total requests to speak on this item, 2 individuals in person, 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we did receive 3 comments on this item. 1 was in favor and 2 were neutral. For any individuals that have requested to speak on this item by phone, if you please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with our in-person speakers, and I'd like to invite forward allegedly Agra and Captain Rose to the podium. You have about 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the audio record.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes and for Jim Desmond. Thank you very much for bringing this forward. You know, you're going to be, I believe you're running for Congress, and I have a way for you to get a lot of attention. What it is the redevelopment agency. The redevelopment agency deleted 10,000 affordable units, mostly single-family room occupancy units from downtown San Diego, and we never got money back for that. Remember when they did the redevelopment cap, when they raised it so they could make the Charter Stadium? back with Mayor Sanders back in the day. The cap was raised on the redevelopment agency, and we can put that debt back in. I've been coming for, since 2012, so 14 years I've been coming here and saying, let's put those 10,000 units on the recognized obligation payment schedule through the County of San Diego's oversight board. You have an oversight board. Between the county and the city, you have 4 of the 7 votes on it. You could put $1 billion worth of debt onto, if you wanted to, but of course money could only be spent within the city of San Diego. But you could actually go around and say, we're going to solve the problem, we're going to take care of all the homeless, we're going to give the money back to the people that it belongs to, because this money was stolen. You're not allowed to delete an affordable housing unit unless you have a replacement unit. But San Diego just deleted them without replacing them. And so this is a way you could get some attention federally, all over the place. And what it is when I talk to HUD, because I talk to HUD all the time, I used to talk to HUD all the time, they said, yeah, all you have to do is put it on your box and you can do it. And I said, I've been coming here, but nobody understands. So please do a friendly amendment. Look into my issue. Possibility of doing this. Thank you.
It's like you can't even just have a conversation. It's so interesting. 26 households. Oh wow, that is. And it's sad because it's like we want to get people into home ownership when people can't even afford to pay rent and put food on the table and get the basic necessities just to live life. Yesterday, when you're the corporation that needs to be sought after because you're the ones that are increasing the cost of living on an exponentially crazy basis, 350 homes. Yeah, that's you're unable to pay for. So is there going to be some kind of stipulation in here that says if by chance you have some kind of problem and there's a default and they want to come and take your home, what are you going to do then? Is there going to be another program that's going to be there to help like you guys always want to do? I mean, because if somebody doesn't pay, like, even if it's a couple $100 in taxes, you will take that home and sell it for a couple $100, right? Instead of going like, what can we do to make sure these people stay in their home? None, because you're going to profit off of it. And then even just to get in the mix of like buying those homes, you have to pay $1,000 just to be in there. So frustrating when you guys sit here and act like you're helping people when the writing on the wall is so clear. When you guys come in and you take those things and you continually increase people's, cost of living and then act like it's other corporations that are doing it. Just hoping that the civil, liability, whatever thing that David's going to be running is going to go after the county as well, but probably not because you're complicit.
All right, we will now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller. It is your turn to speak. Go to our next speaker.
Although the county already administers two-time home, 2 first-time home buyer programs, as Jim pointed out. In FY 24-25, the programs, the 2 programs, assisted 26 households in paying the first home ownership. Well, we should really look into how these can be fixed up and improved. What would really work is building less expensive houses, which are a little quicker to build, like 3D printed, so-called tiny homes, shipping crate homes, maybe building less expensive Adobe homes, as we keep telling you. These would not only be cheaper, but they'd also keep up the market for new homes better, instead of a house that might not be built for years, and then it would be less likely to end up with an oversupplied home. And there needs to be more than 5 or 10% of truly low-income housing, like 30% of AMI per HUD. This is what needs to be guaranteed, not below 50% or up, or soon to let in. Ask yourselves, do you really want to solve the housing crisis, or just keep doing long-term expensive things the big developers want? You know, it's do you want a lot of homeless people to keep being homeless, low-income people not to be able to afford houses? I mean, it's really ridiculous what you're trying to do. I mean, you need to nail down, really do some.
Thank you, your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
The reason why we have to, why no one can own a house, no one can repair houses, why apartment buildings don't get repaired. It's simple, Proposition 13. Proposition 13 basically prevents people from updating their house. They have to pay more taxes. And I don't understand why you guys don't recognize that and look for other revenue streams. Like, for example, our landfill that is going to be overflowing within 5 years. You could go ahead and drastically reduce it by recycling plastic and generating funds from it. You could reduce the amount of fines that ends up taking place. You get what I'm saying? You can go ahead and reduce all that. But you don't, because you're more interested in the money you're going to make. I mean, not the money that the corporations are going to make. You want to go ahead and save your security, so you're going to let bad people go ahead and take advantage. What I don't understand is why you don't look at the base problem and try to solve it. Over another Band-Aid, until finally anyone with money freaking leaves, and you are just stuck with dependents. All depending on the government to save their ass, because you do not want to give anything back to the people. You need to take everything from them and not actually fix the road. Build housing projects in areas that have trucks that will tear up the road. So how often are you going to have to repair the road? But you don't have the money for it, right?
Hey, sure. Fun fact, it was communists who created the Monopoly game. Now they own 349 properties on the board. And what's funny is you guys giving corporate developers the green light to build their ugly, expensive stack attacks, which do not make for home ownership. This board would even ban non-citizens from buying our properties. This is a well-intentioned item that is just wrong. Limited housing inventory is not why homes are overpriced in San Diego County. There are homes that have been sitting on the market empty for 6 months, simply because people won't or can't rent or buy them. especially not those ugly stack attacks at luxury prices to live in a stupid box with no backyard. This board's vision is not the American dream, hence why people leave the county and state. Keep your $1 million fixer-uppers. They're overpriced slums. The rest of the country has no housing crisis or affordability crisis. Despite taking in record amounts of California, that means you're doing something wrong. The state's expecting people to take on a loan for a down payment that won't even cover half of the real down payment. Fix. We should look to them just to buy property-owning, out-of-touch career politicians, part of the privileged property-owning class, making decisions they never feel for themselves. Which is why this board pushes those luxury stacking tax. But why don't you guys just give out free mansions or airplane tickets to county residents like you did for the illegal aliens? Prove you really care. Help them escape. To summarize, this is a sound good, feel good item that will achieve pretty much nothing for the average person. Until every board and state policy is changed regarding CEQA, insurance, VMT, gas, and every crisis in California, people are going to keep moving out. Sell all county property and get out of the real estate market. Otherwise, there is no future in California. It's going to be more.
Thank you. Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Bingo, yes, amen to all the speakers. And yes, dependency is the name of the game, as mentioned before, and that's all it's about. But home buyers program is the right name. You can't have it be homeowners program, because there's no such thing of owning anything within this system. Ownership, that too is an illusion. But so how about Jimmy Boy? How about working to abolish property taxes forever? And this is the reality. If you work hard to own a house, then it should be yours, right? The fact that you can buy land, build a home, pay off your mortgage, yet still lose your home should be illegal. But it's designed this way, entirely, perfectly, seamlessly, did I say perfectly? Flawed. Yeah, not for our advantage, not for the people that strive, but for the people that further struggle and barely survive. Reach a little subset. Reminder, the whole system is designed to disconnect you from your intuition. Why? Disconnected people are easy to, what? Control and manipulate. I'm so bored, dude.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Go to our next caller. Okay, Terry, we're trying you again. Can you hear us? That caller is not.
I have a couple. Okay, thank you very much, Vice Chair. Appreciate that. I think I first just want to start by thanking Supervisor Anderson for bringing this. Supervisor Desmond for bringing this item. Sorry, Supervisor. I think we have been talking for many years, and certainly been a central focus of mine, that housing affordability is a key challenge facing San Diegans, and it's a defining economic anxiety for San Diego families right now, and has been for quite a number of years. I certainly think that some of the ideas in this board letter, including the interest rate buy-down, are promising, and a feasibility study around this is an excellent idea. But we also need to be honest about some of the cost drivers, because they are multiple, and there's many. But Some of them are hard to control, and some of them are much more directly within the policy purview and respond pretty directly to policy interventions. And so I kind of want to really focus specifically on those. So first of all, tariffs. A December study by the Center for American Progress found that Trump's raising the cost per home on average by $17,500. To corroborate this analysis, the National Association of Home Buyers has reported that materials have increased by 8.5 to 9.6% just in March alone. So that's tariffs. Clearly, one of those policy issues that are directly within the locus of control of decision makers and can be really done differently. Central at the current moment and center for everyone I'm talking to are the geopolitical conflicts that are driving up the cost of oil. You know, we know without a doubt that the U.S. actions in Iran and Venezuela have been creating an energy crisis, frankly unparalleled in my lifetime. It's very scary. We're looking at fuel prices at the pump, higher energy costs, but that is just the most immediate impact on consumers. It also impacts home building and home building costs. According to the Association of General Contractors, the disruption of oil, natural gas, and aluminum supplies is pushing up costs and causing construction delays. And these conflicts are clearly creating severe inflationary pressures that have stalled the Fed's planned rate cuts. So going back to the point that Suraj has made about, you know, the fact that some of these high interest rates do make buying a house unaffordable because the monthly payments are so high. What drives those rates is the Fed rate. And what drives the Fed rate is the Fed's mandate. When we have rising fuel prices because we are in a war in Iran, 7% interest rate, that is inflationary, that is what's really going. Theoretical or not abstract, 1.13, theoretical or not abstract, 1.13, better if interest rates just lower instead of us looking to use GPR to pay for a buy down on that interest rate, which is being driven up because we are engaged in a war in Iran. And every $1,000 increase in the median price of a new home prices out an additional, So if we are serious about home ownership, we have to be willing to say what's making it so much harder. And today, we can go on record doing just that. So I certainly do support this proposal. I think it is the right thing to do to be supporting and promoting home ownership. But I think that at the end of the day, we want to be getting the root causes, and we don't want to be using our very scarce county GPR, that's taxpayer money, to essentially fund interest rate spreads that are being driven by a war in Venezuela, a war in Iran, and a global energy crisis. So with that in mind, I would like to propose a friendly amendment. We can put that up on the board. Okay, thank you so much. So add recommendation 2 to the board letter as follows. Direct the Chief Administrative Officer to include in the county's legislative program opposition to federal policies that increase the cost of housing construction in San Diego County, including federal tariffs on construction materials, as well as opposition to U.S. military or economic actions that disrupt energy markets and construction material supply chains, such as U.S. actions targeting Iran and Venezuela. So would like to make that as a friendly amendment to the item, and if
programs here at the county that are underperforming. And I wanted to see if we could get a little more, widen the net, cast a wider net to let people, more people take use of these programs, more people be able to qualify for these programs. This is a political agenda that you're putting forward. Housing costs here, were even like in 2016, there was a study done that 45% of the housing costs here in San Diego County was due to government. And so instead of trying to put this in here, just trying to cast a wider net so more people can use these programs and blaming the terrorists, blaming Iran and Venezuela. We've had this housing issue for years, not just recently due to the Trump administration. I mean, housing is going up and up and up. I think this is the reason why we can't get people into housing, because of political agendas instead of what can we do locally to fix it. They got a program, let's see if we can make it better. That's all I'm asking for. This I don't accept as a second for the recommendation. This is a political agenda instead of trying to fix the problem. Doing what we can with what we have locally.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chairman Homestead.
Thank you. I want to thank Supervisor Desmond for bringing this item forward. This is something that I've always been a part of my agenda, first time in homebuyer programs. So I just have, and I don't know if, I see Dr. Hernandez, which HHSA is wait, somebody come, where is he? Oh, there he is. Because I just had a couple of questions about the programs that we currently have. I wanted to, because my experience has been everything that we invest, no matter where I've been serving in government, it's out the door in 3 months, by the time we get re-up on these programs, because the need is so great. Is that the case here? Number one, let me just ask, is the city commission administering both of our county programs, or are we doing that?
Good afternoon, through the chair. Yes, Vice Chair, the San Diego Housing Commission administers both of our programs right now, a down payment and closing cost assistance program and a down payment assistance program.
Okay, and do we, I know Supervisor, you said, money on the table right now, or?
One of our programs right now is completely extended, which is the down payment and closing costs. Our permanent local housing allocation funding, which is used for our higher income. We do have some money available, and as mentioned earlier, the parts that are out of the county's program control is interest rates, lack of inventory.
Okay. So we do one in house, but we would have more options to include some of those things that aren't reported better to buy down.
Yeah, additional options, of course, would open opportunities for home buyers.
Okay. The two things that I've seen in focusing on this work over the years, one is making sure AMI is flexible with people that could otherwise qualify, right? That we, in some cases, increase that a bit, and then we have up to 80% and then up to 120% program now. According to research in 2022 from the Urban Institute, middle income households in San Diego earning between 80 and 50% AMI have a substantially lower homeownership rate compared to those state and nationwide. So I think that would be something I would ask to be considered here. And just also when we're going through our budget process, if this needs to be a priority to have more funding for these types of down payment assistance programs, then I think that's a good time to advocate as well. Program, because currently right now programs.
through the chair, right now our funding sources are the Home Investment Partnership Program, which is federal, and state money, which is the permanent local housing allocation.
Is the federal money, does that come through CDBG or no?
No, it's
Process.
correct.
Okay, okay, and so this will open that up.
Potentially, we'll see what comes back and what the options are.
Well, there's comments at least. Okay, all right, well, and that's what the feasibility study is for. We can come back. Would we have information before we make budgetary decisions this year?
Not within this time frame, right, sure.
Okay. All right, Supervisor, what is the time frame? I'm sorry.
Let's see, 120 days. To come back in 120 days.
Would it be possible, and I'll ask our CEO this, because we know that you are, Joe is not here, and your audience member, I think you're going to answer this question. Will we be able to, we found this a priority, put some, funding being an investment into the county run home fire assistance program, even if the program is not set up yet?
Through the chair, thank you for that question. We are out of time for the CAO recommended budget. We do have the change order process, which if you're making a decision, yes, we can look at it through the change.
Okay, because if we do the 120 days. Yeah, or I would be interested in whatever the quarter or the year report.
Thank you through the chair. I'm seeing David nod that the combination of things. One, if there's a desire from the board to go to 90 days before the status adjustment, or even to standalone board letter, that may.
Those are the questions.
Escalated at all, or it's a fixed number each year, these programs, the DCCA and DPA programs?
So starting with the Home Investment Partnerships, it's generally about the same each year, and if there is money in the
Either of these programs?
I don't believe so.
I appreciate the question from my colleague. I like the 90 days. Since there's judgment, your motion's on the floor about a second. I'm prepared to next year moving the timeline from 120 to 90 days. So, second. On expanding restoring home ownership for San Diegans. Amendments, changing the 120 to 90 days and adding recommendations. Supervisor Rarick.
Thank you, I'm happy to second, but I do have a clarifying question. So, do we know more or less what the fiscal impact will be at the 90-day mark? I know that's a hard question because we don't know. That's precisely what we would be approving is the analysis, but ballpark?
Through the chair, what I can say is our expenditures for last year were $1.8 million for 18 families in our down payment and closing cost assistance. And for our down payment assistance, we spent $734,000.
But those were through federal and state funding.
So for roughly, the 26 households, $2.6, $2.7 million. We would have to research designs, programs, and what else I would say is there's always a ramp up period for a program. Of course, we have to work with the region. Lenders would have to be made aware of it because, in essence, if something were approved, it would be the community understanding how to work with it. We spent over 1 to 2 to 3 years. And so as a starting point, if we're spending $2.5+ million over 26 families, you can kind of guess a number of households that might access it and then extrapolate from there.
Thank you. Would the maker of the motion entertain an amendment to add, because there's been some comments about this being political, but I think this is factual, the reality that we're living and some of the statements made. I think that I would be interested in earlier is impacting the housing supply, the tariffs, the energy landscape, the international conflicts. I think that, to say that that's not the case, but is one thing, and to actually have data that we have that information on the record would be important.
So just to clarify, your addition number 2 would be to leave this the same, and then additionally to include in this report back analysis regarding the impact of geopolitical conflicts and tariffs on inflation, construction costs, and the list supplement.
Correct.
That's fine.
Because that would be
Include in the report back, so just include in the analysis geopolitical conflicts, the impact of geopolitical conflicts and tariffs.
Just put I hate Trump. Why don't you just put that
And tariffs. Tariffs on inflation, comma, energy costs, comma, construction costs, comma, and our housing insurance costs. And, yeah, happy to approve. Superintendent.
Yeah, I'm gonna be voting against my own item here. This is why nothing gets done. This is why housing doesn't get built. This is why if you try to fix something simple locally and you gotta have everything else thrown in at it after it, every angst you had against the administration, this all comes up, unfortunately, when you're just trying to do simple things here in our own community, and this is a poison pill, that is not necessary. We just need to get more people and young families into housing, and this kind of reaction and amendments just poison everything, and nothing gets done.
Amen.
Okay, thank you very much. There's a motion on the floor in a second, and all speakers have spoken yet, right?
Chair, yes, Supervisor, Chairperson Gary, and Supervisor Does, do you have more comments? And yes, all speakers.
Okay,
It's my fault, jeez.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Vote.
And Chair Lawson, remember that motion passes. The Supervisor Does vote no. All those supervisors who are present can vote no.
Item 29. Yep, turn forward to Chairperson.
Internet share. I want to start by acknowledging something very difficult. The recent allegations concerning accessory apartments are deeply disturbing. And they land at a time when communities across our country and around the world are demanding accountability for acts involving sexual exploitation and abuses of power. We're in a moment where people, especially women, are coming forward with traumas they have experienced that have too often been ignored or dismissed. And it is my firm belief that public institutions have a responsibility to take those concerns seriously and to respond with clarity and integrity. That responsibility extends to the names we choose to elevate and commemorate carry weight. They reflect our shared values and signal what we are willing to stand behind. And when credible concerns arise, it is appropriate to pause and reassess. Now, as we consider this item I have brought forward today, it is important for us to collectively reflect on the broader history of the farm workers movement. This was in the history of our country, driven by workers who organized to challenge unsafe conditions, low wages, and a lack of basic protections. We have to all remember that this movement was never the work of a single individual. It was built by a diverse coalition of Mexican, Filipino, and other immigrant communities. The movement ultimately succeeded because people came together across communities and took collective action. And the role of women in the movement was absolutely critical. They led efforts on the ground, shaping strategy and holding the movement together through incredibly challenging circumstances. Despite that, their contributions have not always been reflected in how this history is reported. Among the leaders who embodied the collective spirit of the farm workers movement was Dolores Huerta. She co-founded the United Farm Workers and helped lead major campaigns that brought national attention to the conditions faced by farm workers, including the Great Boycott that mobilized support across the country. Recognizing that broader history matters, especially in a moment like this, if we're going to revisit how we honor instrumental movements of the past, we must do so in a way that is more complete and more reflective of the people who carry the work forward. This item today achieves that by shifting the focus from an individual to the movement itself. Renaming Cesar Chavez Day to Farm Workers Day centers collective efforts and more fully recognizes the many people whose contributions made progress possible. These recommendations also align with broader calls for accountability we are seeing across the United States, especially calls for justice from the victims of sexual abuse nationwide. Ultimately, this change is a measured step, but an important one, and I believe this is a thoughtful and appropriate way for us as a county and as a country to move forward. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to move the item, and I will be in support of my colleagues.
First of all, if you could please begin by saying your name for the audio record, I would like to invite forward allegedly Audra.
Jim, I think Tara swallowed your balls. Paloma, nice try. You care about sexual assault victims. I think you're just embarrassed, but it's interesting because it's like, are we not adding 16 more beds to the Polinsky Center? Has there not been decades of abuse of children that has taken place, sexual abuse? Is there not sexual abuse that the county is covering up with Malika and Zaya Robinson and many other children? But yes, your political theater is so interesting. Yes, I see your finger that you're giving me, Paloma. I see you next fucking Tuesday. Yeah. You want to flip me off? I'm flipping you off too. Right? Because you want to play this fucking game like you give a shit about sexual assault victims. She's flipping me off right now.
Audra.
So she can flip me off and I can't flip her off.
Audra, what? Continue to make your comments relevant to the topic.
It is.
Which is the 29th.
Yeah.
29th.
Talking about sexual assault victims.
You can go ahead.
All right, thank you. Yes, fuck you, Paloma. You don't give a shit about fucking sexual assault victims. Right? Fuck you, you stupid cunt. Exactly.
We are the protection unit volunteers. My God, you wanted to erase the name of Cesar Chavez and just make it Farmers Day? Help us. Miss Aguirre, my fellow citizen, we voted for you, Filipino people. You do not remember the contribution of Larry Ilion? Read our history. Madam Estate, law graduate, Western College. What are we here talking about? Put the name of a Filipino! Larry Ilion! The pioneer! The first than our brother Mexicans. You know that.
Named Gigi that she reported that you and county council have buried under the rug. What if your daughter was the one whose bedroom was broken into and she was raped in her own bedroom by an illegal alien? Demands you give them behavioral health therapy. Put them on psychotropic drugs. Kids who have been in the foster care system, who have been abused, are put on psychotropics so they shut the fuck up. They're to fucking matter. And it's a disgrace.
U.S. blue cities budgets are in the red. New York and California are among the richest political jurisdictions in the U.S. California's abundant natural resources and private unions to remain in California. Upside down board priorities are inexplicable. Criminal maintenance. Yesterday's board meeting was a shameful display of partisan politics and Machiavellian tactics to undo term limits, spend rainy day funds, and disrespect our control that would be bloated.
Thank you. We'll go to our next.
The practical result of social equity cannabis licensing where young people are unadult. Research shows this, especially because the brain continues developing well into the mid-20s. Young adults are also at a vulnerable stage for families, schools, and communities. Greater density outcomes and future opportunity for them. Thank you.
Thank you.
To address disparities. The overall conclusion that smoking and vaping takes a higher toll on the less advanced regarding smoking and vaping are considered. Here in California, in the Division of Cardiology stated, and I quote, "It is social
Good afternoon. My name is Becky Rath, and today I'd like to speak to an item that was addressed at yesterday's meeting, and that's the creation of the Consumer Fairness and Public Protection. Peaceful discussion and support from the District Attorney Summer Steffen's office. It raises questions about policy process. The DA's office has a long-standing track record, so if there is a gap, the public understand what that gap is. Supervisor Desmond said it perfectly when he questioned what problem is actually being solved. And Supervisor Anderson asked for more time and input. And the DA herself emphasized that collaboration and trust between agencies are essential. Yet despite all of that, this appears to be moving forward. The board sets the tone and the precedent for how government works together. And that precedent should be one of collaboration, transparency, and most importantly, respect. When leaders work around each other instead of with each other, business strength and public trust. It just weakens it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to our fifth and final speaker.
Good afternoon, Peggy Walker. I'm settling county information presented today regarding substance use-related youth mental health problems further begs the question of why cite us with marijuana expansion, adding to multiple reasons not to, with county data predicting a 129% increase in youth substance use. This challenges the wisdom of exposing youth to high-potency THC products. Data shows kids living in neighborhoods near dispensaries have higher rates of use and psychosis, and more so in Black and low-income communities. Large-scale studies document devastating physical and mental health harms to those under 25, evidenced by Hyde County marijuana-related ER hospitalization and youth treatment rates. Research institutions have totally debunked medical claims. Media once in favor, but now acknowledging adverse outcomes for youth, are calling legalization wrong. And multiple jurisdictions recognizing youth harm are backtracking legalization. Let's be clear. The pot industry's business model is to hook future generations and keep existing users dependent. No reparation or tax revenue can justify the resulting child poisoning, addiction, physical and mental illness, cannabis hypermesis, psychosis, suicide, DUI entries, and death. Not one young person's life or future is worth the trade-off. Allowing expansion will hold this board accountable for every preventable harm that follows this policy. If justice is your goal, invest in viable job training for those victims, not a privatization of our young people. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Lawson, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this afternoon. Again, all remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Okay, thank you so much. We're now going to move on to consent. Oh, sorry. Apologies. Now we must consider approval of the statement of proceedings and minutes for the sanitation district of March 3rd, 2026. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
And Chair Lawson, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting.
Okay, now we will move on to consent. Does anyone have any items to pull? I'd like to pull item 8. Okay, Supervisor Geary would like to pull item 8. Anyone else have any items to pull or any comments to make?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment on item 3 and pull item 6. Item 3, I appreciate the thoughtful approach to the energy study here. I also want to give a shout out to the folks at Borrego Springs. They're the ones who urged us to pursue additional analysis for infill capacity for solar energy, and they were right on the mark. While there's still work in progress, staff's initial finding is that only a third of our capacity for infill renewable energy is currently being utilized. So to me, it's obvious we need to do more work before declaring utility-scale solar in the backcountry. It is not the cheapest and the best path forward. Again, big shout out to Borrego Springs, and I look forward to future updates. Thank you very much.
Okay, item 6 has been pulled, item 8 has been pulled. Anyone else that's shown on the step?
No comments, I'll move the balance of the consent agenda.
Okay, I'm happy to second that. We're going to pull it on now.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. And we have 9 will request to speak on items on the consent agenda, 3 individuals in person, and 6 requesting to speak by phone. Again, as a reminder, items 6 and 8 were pulled from the consent agenda for discussion, so any individual that requested to speak on those items, if you please hold your comment until the board discusses those items. We will receive public comment on those items separately. We will begin with the in-person speakers for any individuals that requested to speak on the remaining items on the consent agenda. If you could please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that we provided to you. Now we will begin with the in-person speakers. Again, as your name is called, please come forward, stand on the air list until it is your turn to speak at the podium. 2 minutes to address the board. Please begin by stating your name for the record, and also when speaking, please identify which items on the consent agenda you're speaking to. I'd like to invite forward allegedly Audra, Cesar Javier, and Michael King.
Wish we lived in a world where it's actually more beneficial to the people. Yeah, it's interesting for this energy supply study. Reminds me of when Nathan Fletcher was chair, and then people from the Humbug came out. They were bussed out, and they were trying to say, we don't want that solar field in our town. They were going to get a benefit from it. In fact, the energy was going to come here into San Diego. Yet it got pushed through, and money got pushed into the people. Hey, we'll give you, let's just like throw a couple $1 million out. Even though these people can't even leave that community because they can't afford to live anywhere else, and that's going to be in their community. Very soon, there's already one close by, but you do things and you circumvent the will of the people. All those people in that community didn't want it, and it happened anyway. And that's what's going on. And all of the energy you guys want to bring in is toxic. Yeah, you claim that you want to save the planet. You have all of these lithium bombs that you're putting around with vests and different things like that, knowing that it's going to create a fire that you can't even put out. You can't even douse it in the water and they'll still burn. But yeah, it's smart. Fire dangers by all of the infrastructure that you want to implement, like with your, Green Street projects, different things like that. You're doing it because you want to build a 15-minute city. Let's be honest with the people and tell them that you're pushing a United Nations agenda. Why do we have to lie to people? I don't know why you guys can't just be straight up and honest. Why not? Why are you so scared of that? Why do you want to bury the truth and sit up here because you want people to think that you care about them? Because people believe that, and they suffer because of you guys. I mean, look at Tijuana River Valley. It's an emergency still, decades later. It's a crisis. Oh my gosh, let's take care of it. Just like COVID, right, Jim? And we stayed in the emergency for the money, right? So interesting to see the things you guys do, and then even the water resources. Let's give people back their own sewage and call it pure water. It's so good. Woe to you guys.
Who will protect us? You? You? Who will protect us? We volunteer. That's why we are here. To help you protect us. This is an era where we have to open our soul and heart and brain, because this is the unseen enemy. Something we drink from this glazed ceramics product, supposed to be clean water, supposed to be clean air, supposed to be clean food. Are you helping us protect us? This is all about all these items from A to Z. And thank you. There is just a hint of solving that Tijuana River toxic. APCD, hey, finally did the reading, July of 2024, before Chair Vargas stepped down. You know that, Mom Rimer? And now we have here another governing board member, Aguirre, and Senior Rimer. Let us decommission APCD and bring 6 good thinking people, logical reasoning people with the loose LUEG so that we could save money. Thank you. Hear us.
Good afternoon, Chair Lawson-Remer and supervisors. My name is Michael King, and I'm a conservation organizer with the Sierra Club of San Diego. I'm going to speak to items 1 and 2 in support. We strongly support both the Tijuana River Valley Stage Restoration Project and setting the hearing for the Iron Mountain Preserve expansion. The Stage project will restore habitat, improve air and water quality, and bring much needed climate resilience to communities like Imperial Beach and San Ysidro, which have long faced environmental injustice. We are especially encouraged by the practical use of nature-based solutions in this project. And we similarly support expanding the Iron Mountain Preserve, which protects 380 acres of sensitive habitat and supports species like Glencoe horned lizard, and strengthens regional biodiversity under the Multi-Species Conservation Program. Both projects deliver real climate benefits while showing that conservation and smart growth can go hand in hand. We urge you to move these efforts forward as critical investments in our region's environmental health and resilience. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we will go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Let's remind everyone, Proposition 13 cuts the finances to San Diego County. Now knowing that, we can go ahead and regain some of that money to fix our infrastructure and make batteries that actually don't require to export slave labor 100, we could actually recycle the plastic, use the byproduct from the recycled plastic to create graphene batteries, carbon-based batteries. That you don't have to worry about the same fire issue than you have with lithium. They charge faster, last longer, and they're completely and utterly recyclable. If you guys actually believed in half the bullshit that you spill out, you would have adopted this years ago, when I first told you about it. But no, you're all fucking cons. All you want to do is rip money from us, and you think that there's not going to be bad consequences. Be fraudulent, so that you can push these agendas through without any hesitation. You want to replace our CEO with an elected official because Ebony sometimes pushes against you, and you don't like that. So you want to replace her, replace the person on top of the county with an elected official, and have a legal team that can go after whoever the fuck you want there. And you want to expand it for another 4 years. The same union that said we needed to have term limits. Now we don't need term limits because you guys are sucking their cock apparently. But you don't want to go into whatever the fuck they tell you to do because you're their own bitch. That's the truth. Be honest with the people about that. Instead of fucking hiding, instead of blaming fucking other people for your own fucking mistakes.
Your time is up. We're going to our next call.
Although, so you are taking $2 million from Amlock reserves for the Iron Mountain Reserve. The reserve should be used for emergencies, for people, not for land. This is you can take, or tax maybe, but even for land, it's ridiculously expensive. 4.9 million, 12.9 thou per acre, and then the appraised value is only 4.4 mil, 500 thou less than you're buying it for. Wonder which real estate mogul will be profiting. One, those same environmental remediation project in the TJ Rally is good. Might even clear the air of it. Certainly reduce the amount of trash. 5, Cameron Corners. Paper? Given all access to fluoride and other chemicals and junk the state seems to be allowing, perhaps you need a better source from the ground. And haven't the uranium getting instead of the water? The state trying to poison us that way now? I can say that the program sounds good. Which more information was attached? Golf Club Drive, I looked at improvements through nature-based solutions. Looking at the map, I see no reason for an elaborate water filtration system at the former golf course. 3, update on the energy supply study that here involving tribal governments and all energy conservation because the pay roughly.
Your time is up. We're going to go to our next caller.
Hey, sure. Item 3. Who in Borrego Springs wanted non-recyclable solar panels, Jim? This item doesn't say that happened. I bet if I asked the average person, they want to slap this board of hearing that overt lie. No wonder you voted yes to whatever the progressives wanted to say their child was pathetic. A project Colorado-based nonprofit Alliance for Sustainable Energy LLC, who still has a $786 million budget, yet doesn't have a working website. Weird, huh? Somehow they're overlooking the National Laboratory of the Rockies, previously known as the National Renewable Energy Lab, a national lab belonging to the U.S. Department of Energy. So Trump does support the green scam then, because if he didn't, this tech would be shut down on a major scale. And China, allegedly Infinity at one point. Remember that? It was like a couple months ago, wasn't it? The time referred to including impacts with no project options. What does that mean? The consideration of no project? Can we do that? Can we just do that and end this? The multi-million-dollar study that neighborhood or community skills to understand how projects could support or strain the existing infrastructure and grid. Why waste the taxpayers? If you don't know if solar panels can sustain even a small community, why would you waste money studying it? Why would you even pursue such a ridiculous goal if it's going to strain the grid or not sustain the grid? You guys are absolutely ridiculous. And I have a question regarding the entire consent action. If it's truly one meeting, why not equally split the agenda? Why are there still two agendas? Land use and general legislature, whatever it's called. Is it because Tara's a liar who does everything she can to limit public comment? You guys.
Okay, so I'm still here. I didn't bring my paper, and I'm in my car, and I pulled over, and I'm going to just have to recycle something for consent calendar. We're on consent calendar, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, so with this consent calendar, just wanting to remind people how government actually works. We'll continue to come here asking, even begging government to do the right thing. Somewhere along the way, people have forgotten something very important. Government doesn't work for the people. They work for globalists. They work for an agenda. And that's where we're at. And what we continue to see is more and more homeless living on the streets, and families struggling when they should be comfortable in their homes, people who are not supported, At the same time, we watch government stand here and present solutions, programs, plans, initiatives, but like everything else, yes, the word of the day is Band-Aid solution, temporary fixes that never seem to resolve the root of the problem, because if the problems were truly solved, we know there would be nothing left to manage. So instead, what happens? The issues get prolonged, kicked down the road, passed from one administration to the next, year after year, budget after budget. Meanwhile, people continue to struggle. So let's be clear. Government does not resolve problems. They manage them. That's sustainability, right? It sustains them. And in many cases, it expands them. And that brings me to the hardest truth people need to hear.
Thank you. Your time is up. And Chair Lawson Reamer, that concludes public comment on that item.
Thank you very much. Motion on the floor in a second. Can we please vote?
Reamer, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present and voting.
Okay. We will do item 6, which is for consent, and then we'll go to the question. Okay. So we'll do item 6, and then we'll go to closed session.
Thank you, Chair Lawson Reamer. We do have 6 total requests to speak, 2 individuals in person, and 4 requested to speak by phone. Also like to note for the record, we did receive 1 e-comment on this item, which was in favor. For any individuals that have requested to speak on this item by phone, please call dial to the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. You will go ahead and meeting with our in-person speakers. Like to invite forward allegedly Audra and Cesar Javier. You will have 2 minutes to address the board.
Since 1982, this plot of land has been held captive, and we have to come to the board to release it back to the people that it was confiscated from, which is interesting. It was supposed to be used to expand freeways. We know we don't want to be driving. Nobody should be driving. It's dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous. Pedophiles running around it. on the other hand, is not. That's cool. We perpetuate that, but we gotta get people out of their cars to save the planet. It's so smart. And so we can't expand freeways and use this land for that. So we're gonna go ahead and give it back to the person that owns it after 43 years. And we have to come to the board of supervisors to do that. Is there anything that we don't have to like ask your permission to do? Like, are we gonna get charged just to take a shit later? Like, is it gonna be like, do you need to go 1 or 2? You're gonna have to get a permit for that? We're not sure. It's gonna cost quite a bit if you have to like flush a couple of times. And yes, I'm talking about the easement. Right, Tara? Yes. And how, you know, if we don't want to be driving and stuff, I mean, that's a good reason to give it back, isn't it? I mean, wonder if you're gonna take that guy's car if he continues to drive. What else? Like, what else can we give permits for? Breathing? I mean, is there gonna be only a little bit of something that you guys are gonna be staffed to do? Take our money and figure out how much air people would be allotted. Too much. You're gonna have to pay an extra fee. But you could give some like air credits to somebody else and they could use it. And then like if you fart too much, I mean you're gonna have to pay a little bit extra. But you know, you could have somebody fart for you and then basically give you credit for that. So business in the county is good. Good job, you guys.
Memory of a warrior, Captain Baker, Filipino American. If the reason for because you're reasoning that you cannot help us erase or defeat toxicity in our neighborhood, you are deadly wrong. And just comment, it hurts us. Land use says no project, no program, if it's not in accord with health and safety. You are wrong, Mom. Please admit it. We forgive you. We are all humans. But the point here is, let's just do something positive. No matter how small. Like a golfer. You're playing to left or to right. We need it straight, no matter how short, but straight. Analogy, metaphor. We forgive you, forgive us too. If only to vacate that space, we're given 2 choices. Build a green incinerator or build a green, well-designed landfill to throw out our waste and garbage fee, which Madam Steve is one of the conspirator in the increase in our garbage fee. Right, ma'am? What is that? Density issue, footnote 7. Try to recall history, ma'am. We know that because we are here consistent to see where accountability lies. And it lies in you guys, elected officials of the city of San Diego. Thank you, God. Help us.
Thank you. We'll now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
All about this summary vacation of a highway slip easement in the Fallbrook area. It sounds good after 42 years of overdue. I don't know what took so long to decide that no one actually needs it. But knowing how slowly you guys work and what little imagination you put in, yeah. Anyway, it's a raw deal for the guy who has to pay $6,500 to get his land back. I mean, I don't even know if it's the same guy. actually, maybe it's a different guy who has to pay 6,500, but which sucks. I mean, buy property, pay it more to make sure the property's whole. I mean, gee, that doesn't sound very good at all. And, you know, the idea of having to pay for, basically what is a mistake that the county made in acquiring land it didn't need. I mean, that's, you know, like, it's like finding someone for something he didn't do. And, you know, that, you want to split, and then with us about a lot, and then with us about a lot.
So are we talking about you guys stealing land from someone, not actually using it, not actually needing it, and then now getting it back? Who's going to have to pay on that land? Today's value, or the value when you took it from him? I think you took it from him 45 years ago. I don't think he should pay additional taxes from the fact that you made everything cost 10 times as much money. I mean, isn't that what Proposition 13 is? Any corporation that wants to go ahead and build these subdivisions and all that stuff, value everywhere else, and so now it makes it more difficult for anyone doing additions or fixing up their houses, because then they're going to have to pay, and I'm copying on the taxes because of this project, right? I mean, so you're going to basically create white slumlords, all because, you know, you could get the money in a different fashion by recycling our plastic, you could get the money in a different fashion by recycling our plastic, by adopting Julian Brown, an African-American kid, technology, a kid that did it in 17. You could inspire a whole group of youth. But everything that you guys say is just fucking talk. You're full of shit. And I really cannot wait until the day that the people realize that.
Okay. This is your 5th time calling and being off topic, so your time is forfeited. Thank you.
Go to our next speaker.
Okay, from Swella here, so the adopting a resolution, okay, 42 years later, yeah, that sounds about right with government timing. There's no the timing, and I am reminded with a message, it was a pop-up message, that we rise. So let me rise a little bit, let me try and lift you up. Claim to love your neighbor, you can't stay silent about the systems that crush them. And I love my neighbors, that's why I don't keep silent and I pay attention to these boring meetings. You must want for their family every good thing you want for yours. And I promise you, that is what I want. I want that for everyone. And for people to get their land back, and for, you know, the wealth to go to where it belongs, to the good people of the world, not the cheaters, the liars, the scammers, pedophiles. Yeah. So, what other words of wisdom do I have here? Yeah, I think it's like that. If you will ever, I don't know that one. It's better to be labeled difficult than allow yourself to be treated like a doormat. We're not doormats. So stop treating us like that. Taxpayer, cattle. We're more than that. People need to wake up to how powerful and how amazing they really are. I got one more. Cheers to everyone.
Your time is up. And Chair Lawson, remember that concludes public comment on this item.
Okay. Thank you very much. This was originally a consent. Supervisor Smith to recuse himself because he had a conflict. So he's gone.
passes unanimously with Supervisor Desmond recusing himself and all their supervisors who are present voting.
Okay, so just a kind of a brief on what's next for today. We have remaining on our agenda, we have item number 8, item number 10, non-agenda comment, and adjournments in memory and closed session. This is for my colleagues in the public's awareness. We are moving to a new model where we're trying to have a little more clarity around time of closed session so that the external attorneys can plan accordingly. So the time I predicted for them was between 3 and 5. So we can continue on with this agenda for about another hour. But if we're not done by about 4:30, we will have to session and then come back. Okay? Does it make sense to everybody? Okay, great. So we will go ahead and move on to item 8.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I pulled this item to underscore the significance and reiterate how essential these declarations of emergency are in addressing the long-standing public health crisis that's related to the Tijuana River. Last week, 2 sewage spills occurred in Mexico. The following days were absolutely horrendous for all of us living down there. What's most concerning is that the levels of hydrogen sulfide far exceeded the state standards, which is 30 parts per billion. APCD data recorded hourly averages near 500 parts per billion, and UCSD data showed spikes up to 2,500 parts per billion. I can tell you from my personal experience, I couldn't even escape the smell in my own living room. That's how severe these events were. During the spikes, my office and county agencies moved quickly to respond. I want to express my gratitude to Health and Human Services and APCD staff for enhancing the alert system, extending hours to 10 p.m. and beginning at 5 a.m., which normally is more like 9 to 5, just to make sure that people had that information before they went to bed or before they took their kids to school. At the state level, the law gives the governor the explicit authority to, and I quote from the California Government Code Section 8628, quote, during a state of emergency, the governor may direct all agencies of the state government to utilize and employ state personnel, equipment, and facilities for the performance of any and all activities designed to prevent or alleviate actual and threatened damage due to the emergency. Any agency so directed by the governor may expend any of the monies which have been appropriated in it to perform such activities, irrespective of the particular purpose for which the money was appropriated. End quote. So immediate actions that could take place under this statute include infrastructure upgrades to Saturn Boulevard, aka the hotspot in the Tijuana River Valley, air purifiers, or the most important one, which is eliminating the source itself by diverting and treating the river so that we can actually begin to breathe. So with that said, I'd like to take the opportunity of us considering this, I believe it's the 22nd iteration of the Declaration of an Emergency, to add an amendment to the item, which would be to move the staff recommendation with the additional direction that when staff next forwards this proclamation to the state, it includes the following documents which the state can also county efforts and projects to mitigate the Tijuana River Valley pollution crisis, including but not feasibility study, the item purifier program enhancements, and an overview of pending epidemiological study and expanded syndromic surveillance efforts, an overview of data and regional actions taken in response to recent hydrogen sulfide spikes exceeding established California Air Resources Board public health thresholds, the United States Environmental Protection Agency and United States section of the International Boundary Water Commission's joint record of decision for the final programmatic environmental impact statement, and a number of different academic publications which I believe will be put up on including some recent studies by a number of researchers such as Dr. Kim Fraser, Dr. Paula Granados from UCSD and SDSU. So I'm hoping to have the support of my colleagues in this amendment. I cannot reiterate enough how severe and just life-altering this crisis continues to be, but how much it's impacting us, especially as we're seeing these heat waves that cause a lot of these gases to be compressed closer to people, and most importantly, I worry about the children that are being exposed to all of this. So I'm hoping that with this renewed call for a declaration of a state of emergency and call to our governor for assistance, perhaps he will. Thank you.
There's a motion on the floor, have a second? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Lawson Reamer. We do have 8 total requests to speak, 2 individuals in person, and 3 requests to speak by phone. Or 2 requesting to speak in person, 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also, like to note for the record, we did receive 2 comments on this item. 1 was in favor, 1 was in opposition. For any individuals that have requested to speak on this item by phone, please dial into the conference line now using those instructions we provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with in-person speakers, and I'd like to invite forward Legend.
It's interesting when crises become a routine business, right? Versus put it on the consent calendar. Good job. Air purifiers, good job, right? Studies, let's study it. Let's not really go to Mexico and have them stop it. Let's spend more of people's money to get us to divert it instead of saying we're not going to do problems with Mexico. But that would be taking money out of your guys' pockets. You can't do that. Poor Paloma couldn't even breathe in her own living room. What a shame. Maybe we could study that, Paloma. Then we could study your lungs and see. How about that? Might be interesting to see what you find. You won't find it hard, that's for sure. Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, how long people are going to have to suffer. How many more decades do you guys think this is going to be routine for? Like, is it really considered a crisis after decades like that? I mean, and you say you care about the children. You want to study the children. Let's see what this is doing to them. You know, I'll give them an air purifier so they can still kind of breathe the air, but I can get in my data to, you know, make sure that we have data points too. Why is it that, you know, you're not upset with the governor? If it was Trump, he would be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that he's doing this. We're going to have to do something about that. But you're like, let's send him a letter and see if he, like, wants to help us out. I mean, he might, right? I don't know. Give him a blowjob, he might. Who knows? Oh, gosh. I'm just wondering, do you guys have a timeline for that? You wanted to give us new time updates. So I'm wondering if we could have a time frame on when this crisis will be dealt with. Is there not enough money coming in yet? Yeah? Not enough people dying? They will eventually. Well, then you guys can make money off of that.
We need an agreement. This is a warfare against Region 9 or San Diego County's an independent powerhouse for the survival of San Diegans. Why do we have to rely on others if we have this brain and hands and heart and soul? Why do we have to blame Uncle Sam? Why do we have to ask help from this goddamn governor? I'm ready to go to jail, if only to tell the truth. Like what I did to this 11 elected officials who neglected, grossly, ignored the very sign 33 years ago. Be so investigate and apprehend and punish these people to the full extent of the law. Not shooting, because Councilor Lacaba is threatened by the word shooting. Extent of the law. You should be accountable. And if you cannot do the job, Mom gave this mental mess in your nose, and yet, by God, where is logic here? Where is our 10 fingers intelligences? Where are your 5 human dimensions, if I have to review? Moms said, there is still time. Let's work together, let's have this council, go right in this side, and legislate before the victim, so that they will be inspired and bring back the trust to you. Why not? Are we ready? No, because I might get sick. We need a force of law to fight.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
Environmental
Those that request to speak by phone. When
Thank
it's
you,
your
sir.
turn to speak,
Thank
you'll
you,
be
ma'am.
muted. You will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments, and we'll go ahead and begin with our first caller.
Hi, you fucking cunt. I don't understand why you have double standards based off of who's talking and what they're talking about, whether or not you're going to kick them out, and then you clearly let other people say whatever the hell they want. You're a fucking cunt for that. And Paloma, Petty, whatever fucking you are, that take that bitch from the left. Yeah, no, you don't give a rat's ass about the kids, or else when a mother jumps through all the hoops to get her kids back, you don't, what you do is you go after the grandfather and have his throat try to throw him down. You care about the children that want to be back with the family? No, you want to go ahead and collect the money that you're going to acquire from doing all the therapy because you're fucking up with the kids. You're screwing them up in the head. You're creating a victim class. That's what you're doing, you fucking bitch. And the fact that you guys don't want to go ahead and look at the people, register people, to keep you guys, these bitches in office.
Just pause this time. I have been waiting and waiting patiently for any mention of anything related to the local emergency review proclamation of local emergency for U.S.-Mexico transboundary pollution and groundwater crisis and related CEQA exemption, which is item 8, which is the item we are on. This is the 6th time that you've called and been on topic. You have forfeited your time.
I think it's number 7.
Let's go to our next speaker.
All of those. Washington Tennessee got a 40-year history. River pollution crisis. So the crisis is now spreading countywide. This is more than a crisis, more than an emergency. Like it's an inaction almost. But Europe has been mostly to seek external resources, which takes months and years, if it even comes, since the feds and state are both pretty busted. We need local action, which would be quicker. The crisis is affecting people's daily lives. Daily, people are getting sicker or worse. If you mention local efforts in the last paragraph, we need action now, not in the future, not when Congress or the states can find the money to act. Mrs. Fetterman pointed out yesterday. From the U.S. So we mentioned several pollution monitors to find out exactly which buildings and where the pollution is coming from. Look them up. But I cannot support the continuation of what is essentially an industry based on promoting the emergency rather than fixing it. Hopefully the Navy's TJ River with aid restoration project will improve the area. And you will much about the children. They weren't wearing proper enough.
Your time is up. We'll go to our next caller.
Hey, sure, I'm gonna ask Sheriff Tara, please keep Manuela on topic during every item, because Joe Landfill was not an agenda item today. Now apparently, Manuela's been smelling Mexico sewage down there in La Mesa. I didn't know you could do that. We know why Manuela had to pull this item. Not only does she love to hear herself deliver boring 20-minute monologues to nowhere, no one else would ignore anyway, but because she started whining about Trump for the 100th time today. She's as bad as the deflector shot Halo, fellow working family Communist Party member. And I was going to ask, where's Cracker at? She's always wheeled out for Manuela's political theater show. But this time she just gets featured as a study prop here as part of a last-minute agenda item change. Mexico sewage, which has been killing American citizens for decades, is addressed way less by Manuela than how much she addresses ICE and illegal aliens. Priority. Things are yet again getting worse with no 100% solution. Zeldin Insight. The hydrogen sulfide numbers off the charts, and yet the county agency and Manuela refuse to ask the federal government for help. If the bubbles actually work, when they stop the bubbles, things skyrocket by about 10 times. All you got are NORAD air purifier scams, while people tough deteriorate. Manuela continues to grip off the sewage crisis industrial complex while peddling the fake solution of the state of emergency for like the 19th time. Pretty sure Newsom made it clear for at least the 6th year in a row that he doesn't care. Just like Manuela doesn't care that the primary source of pollution is not the river, but Mexico's sewage that pollutes the river and the South Bay Ocean outfall. Now Manuela and her mentor, Fudge Adina, is part of the reason why there's more sewage hitting the ocean than ever before. People in Vero Beach can never forget at a council meeting last year when Manuela did everything she could to vote no on real solutions to the sewage. She was too concerned with protecting Mexico, the country she pretends to be born in. We've heard your two-way stories. So Manuela can take her finger motions and shove them where transparency doesn't shine. Have a good day.
Your time is up. We'll go to our next speaker.
Right on. Okay, here we go. So from Solo here, paying attention to different government agencies and the county operate. And, with this item, you guys have been given so many for solutions and you, like I said in the past, you have the technology, you have had the money, and it doesn't really take much, man, honestly. It's what we have a crisis of? Here we go. Ignorance is the real crisis. From you guys, from local, federal, state government, and from the tax cattle indentured servants, quite frankly. I mean, ignorance is everywhere. And blind faith, blind trust. I mean, people continue to trust you, and they're like, it's like they haven't caught on to, hey, they're pitting us against each other, you know what I'm saying? And quite frankly, you guys signed up for this job. So all the counting you're getting today, Tara, you know what, girlfriend, you deserve it. You deserve it. You are a liar. And you're not going to be there long, just like Nora, just like Nathan. And, if things could be different, I chimed into a LAFCO meeting for the first time a bit ago, and I didn't even know LAFCO existed, let's put it that way. But for the very first time ever, in any government meeting within the county, for the first time there was a man presenting, and he actually engaged and acknowledged it and said my name, and there was actual dialogue, and it was just so refreshing because that's how it could be. But instead, it's like you guys want to act like the freaking victims, like a typical, it's just you guys want to play this part like we're just coming at you, but you don't listen, and that's just.
Your time is up, and Chair Lawson Reward, I think, was public comment on the side.
Okay, thank you so much. With the motion and the second,
Chair Lawson Reward, that motion. Chair Lawson.
afternoon. Today we are presenting the 2025 General Plan and Housing Element Annual Progress Report. This report provides an update on housing production and housing element implementation over the past year. It continues to make strong progress towards meeting its regional housing needs allocation, or RHNA. The county has exceeded its goals in the low, moderate, and above moderate income categories. However, production of very low income housing remains challenged, with only 28% of the required allocation achieved to date. Housing production naturally fluctuates year to year, but we are still seeing development in the unincorporated communities. The county's RHNA share of the unincorporated area is 6,700 units. This graph shows how those units are divided across the affordability categories. These numbers reflect the total numbers of units assigned under each category. Within our very low category, we also track housing affordable to our lowest income residents, including acutely and extremely low income households.
The process for developing new housing starts when an application is submitted for a housing development project. Some applications require a discretionary review process, while others move to a ministerial building permit review process. Discretionary projects generally take longer and can be more expensive because they typically require an environmental review, require a public hearing before receiving approval. On the other hand, the ministerial process is generally faster and less expensive with less review involved. Recent state law and county initiatives have expanded the types of projects that are ministerial, making it easier to build housing. After a project application is approved, the next step is to apply for a building permit. Lastly, after the home is built, the county inspects it for safety, and if it passes final inspection, it is ready for movement. This process can vary in length depending on the project, but most projects do not move through all three steps within the same year. In 2025, 8 applications associated with 471 units successfully completed review and were approved by the county. These approved projects are now ready to move forward into the building permit stage. Looking ahead, 30 new applications were submitted to the county for 489 housing units pending review. 932 housing units in the unincorporated area were issued building permits, allowing construction to move forward. A total of 943 new homes in the unincorporated area completed construction and were ready for movement.
This bar graph shows our RHNA progress since 2021. The yellow lines represent our assigned RHNA for each income category. Now we'll focus on how the housing units that were issued building permits in 2025 contributed to that progress. 597 units were considered affordable to above moderate income households. 94 units were affordable to moderate income households. 165 units were affordable for low income households. We've exceeded our allocation in all three of these categories. 76 units were affordable to the very low income households, including 42 units for extremely low income. That puts us at just 28% of our goal for this category. These units are typically the hardest to build because they often require subsidies from the county or other government programs. Overall, we're halfway through the 8-year RHNA, and we've reached our 98% of our total goal for permitted units. Now, HCDS will discuss county efforts for affordable housing in communities as well as the region.
Thank you, David. During the 6-cycle housing element, the county invested more than $32 million towards 5 affordable housing developments in unincorporated communities, resulting in 338 units. Of these, 123 units are complete and 215 are underway. La Sabia is the first development in unincorporated San Diego County to include permanent supportive housing, funded in part by the No Place Like Home program. The county also funded Marisol Meadows in Fallbrook, which is under construction and will add 54 new affordable senior units. It is important to recognize that RHNA progress does not fully capture the county's broader regional impact on affordable housing. HCDS has invested over $237 million in affordable housing during this RHNA cycle. This includes 2,068 very low and extremely low income units that are already completed and occupied. 550 are under construction, and 907 units in the pipeline as of December 31st, 2025. Thank you.
In November of last year, the board hosted the Housing Forward workshop to reflect on progress
reaffirming policy priorities, and identify opportunities to advance housing solutions. Participants emphasized the need for greater zone clarity and streamlined development processes, village-focused, infill and DMT efficient growth, innovation and non-traditional housing models, protections for renters and preservation of existing naturally occurring affordable housing, and stronger regional housing partnerships, acknowledging that housing challenges cross jurisdictional boundaries. We continue to engage many of the stakeholders who participated in the housing workshop, including one-on-one discussions and a stakeholder roundtable to gather feedback on specific initiatives. The county has been advancing a series of housing initiatives that align with the feedback received at the workshop. So far this year, we brought forward the separate sale of accessory dwelling units ordinance, which is the first of 4 housing-related zoning ordinance amendments for this year. Additionally, amendments will include options related to ADU ownership and the right of first refusal, the inclusionary housing ordinance, and the first phase of Housing Unlocked, which will address zoning barriers to facilitate the discussion on DMT mitigation options, the sustainable land use framework, and a housing workshop led by our partners at Housing and Community Development Services. The second phase of Housing Unlocked and additional housing-related 27. In closing, staff recommends that the Board of Supervisors find that today's actions are not subject to CEQA. Housing Element Annual Progress Report. This concludes our presentation, and staff is available to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, we'll go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. 3 individuals and persons, 6 requested to receive 1 e-comment on this item, which is in opposition. About the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll go ahead and begin with an for allegedly Audra, Cesar Javier, and Patrick Rose. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board.
You guys need over 100,000 homes. Good job, right? And I feel like, I mean, 132%, 28% the ones you guys need the most. Good job, right? The low income, we're doing a really good service to them. What I'm thinking is that you guys are looking at this the wrong way. And I feel like it's a little xenophobic. What I think is that we need to understand there are a lot of undocumented immigrants in this county. And how many of them need a home? And how long is it taking you guys to provide these homes? So I think if we put that in the forefront, because it's very xenophobic and bigotry to not address this and make sure that we're getting these people into homes, right? I mean, that's pretty disgraceful to have them come to our country and we don't just give them whatever they want. So I feel that you guys could probably speed up this process if you make that part of like a motion to make sure that we're going to ensure that all of the undocumented immigrants in San Diego County are going to get into these homes lickety-split. You could totally exempt the CEQA. Forget about the permits. Just build, you know what? Have them build them. I'm sure that they would help. And they would probably like that because they would be also having a job. Right? So, I mean, I feel like you guys are actually being really racist by not doing that. And it's a disgrace to have these children suffer like that. You guys care about the children. So, I mean, instead of slapping them in the face by going, we don't have anything for you, I think you guys need to get on this lickety-split. We're on a time crunch. Okay, so I think you guys could probably provide thousands of homes in like what? Especially if they helped, probably a couple months. So I think that you guys need to chop on this because it looks very disgraceful when our community stands for this kind of help. Okay.
We have been discussing from birth to grave how San Diegans will thrive from that particular period handed down by the Almighty. housing, sheltering is the second element, if I may just explain that way, in rural and urban planners. We share the same ideas. And as we live as an immigrant by choice and by affection handed to us by Uncle Sam, we only see, learn, and teach. My graduate studies in education has not been paid fully. My tuition fee is still there hanging, and I cannot take it. But now Uncle Sam knows that I'm written off. We must learn, because all our intentions is it is being destroyed by this political virus we name Ilo Rivera, the classmate of Madam Steve, Western Law School. You know, this guy is trying to be the mayor, campaigning as mayor. What is a house when no one is there? What is this painted buildings? Beautiful, architecturally created by hands, by San Diegans. These are all business. They have the money. Our local authorities approve because there is that TIFA. And that's where you live, and that's why you are here, and that's why you wanted to stay here. Step down. Step down if you cannot do your job. Thank you.
Hello, Catherine Rose, and I came here today with City Council District 2 candidate Andy Habit this morning for non-agenda public comment, but we'll talk about that. And mainly because there's some Claremont seniors that are living on your property on my Edna Drive that are, the red put up 10%. This is within their first year of actually living in your property on Mount Edna Drive. In your report here, page 8, 170, you have of your general plan, you have some element annual progress report. You have the address of 5255 Mount Edna Drive, and here you have 404 affordable housing units that you have. Some of these units, I think like 65, are for people with mental retardations. You guys have a disposition and development agreement with Chelsea Investment, and then you have agreements with the San Diego Housing Commission. And the San Diego Housing Commission, said they're dedicating 300 vouchers and giving these people some, not stressing them out. They've given letters to basically said, if you can't pay your rent, you're going to be homeless. That's not cool. And I would like some help from my supervisor, Tara Lawson-Weaver, I believe, that you're in charge of the Claremont area too. And so what we're looking for is to have a meeting with you and county staff so that we can not have all the stress they're having. Right now they're crying. We're trying to get the media involved, but they can't get any help. And then, the faith-based community wants to have tiny homes on their property using Essenbach's backyard. The county staff didn't allow, basically they said, we're not going to give you any money for kitchens or bathrooms or any type of plan for like a year. We have solutions. We give you all your extremely low income goals. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear from those that have requested to speak by phone. Again, when it's your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted, and we'll get a recording to tell you in your comments. We will go ahead and begin with our first caller. Paul, you are our first caller. Your you're connected, your device may be muted. Hold on, I see what's going on. Our phone line is disconnected. 1 second while I troubleshoot this.
Item number 10, building new houses and all that stuff, which is a load of crap. Correct. We don't need more houses. Look at how many houses over there. If you want to go ahead and help people out, how about reduce our taxes? I have a great idea. If we were to recycle our plastic, because our landfill is going to overflow within 5 years, if you sit on your ass and do nothing about it, which clearly that's your plan. You could recycle the plastic right here, right now, and create revenue so you don't have to tax the people. Maybe some people that would not need assistance if you did not try to take every single penny from them.
Okay, please pause.
But for some fucking reason,
This is the 2020 housing element partners report related to good exemption. It is not about plastic or recycling. So you have now forfeited your time. This is your 7th time calling in this meeting, speaking off topic. Thank you. Good to know.
Okay, we'll go to our next call.
Although the housing agency does not support building cheaper housing than conventional, which is what they're built. 3D printed, so-called tiny homes, shipping crate homes, maybe Adobe homes, as we keep telling you. These are not only be cheaper, but also keep up with the market for new homes better instead of houses that might not be built for years, and then it would be less likely to end up with those live houses. There also needs to be more than 5 I think 30% aim like that per HUD. And this is what needs to be guaranteed, not below 50% or up, where the developer can kind of pick and choose whom to let in. Hasn't happened yet. The chart on page 825 shows no completed for equally voting persons, and then only 21 for renewal. The housing agency needs to the affordability or homeless crisis. Apparently, the housing agency is enthralled to big developers like BlackRock who have more interest in profit than people. Here's something funny. The agency favors coordination and outreach with developers, buildings, and property owners, unquote, on page 828. Buildings, I guess, the people in them don't count. The number of houses counted is ridiculous. The housing agency is part of this. I do not approve of its plan.
Public comment
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation, everyone, and PS and HHSA and all the various departments that have to come together for this update. I know that Planning and Development Services in particular has been busy tracking all of the states to meet the 98% of its RENA allocation goals, especially going beyond the low-income housing allocation at 116%. I understand that the very low income and extremely low income areas are very challenging, but I do still think that we need to have a conversation about land trust and other things that we that could address the challenges of construction costs. Development. As I mentioned before, I think it's a great opportunity to still utilize the County of San Diego and City of San Diego joint resolution that was done years ago to create 10,000 affordable units on government-owned land to address such costs. I will take this time to say for the at the property, I know that we heard from two gentlemen who came in last month, and that there has been some interaction with county staff, but I just want to say, as a general matter, I don't know what happened with regards to our agreements that we had with other cities and developers prior to me being here. I think it's an awesome thing that we provide that land as our contribution to promote affordable housing. But if there is a 10% increase in rent after 1 year, that's a very big issue for me. So I know, I don't think that we're necessarily involved in that aspect of it, but I do think we should maybe look moving forward as to putting additional parameters on any land that we are giving away. Because that is not right, and technically not, and that part of Fairmont is in District 4. So I just want to take that away off, because we have been communicating, and that is in District 4. I've been there for the, ribbon cuttings and all of that, but I want to make sure that I represent something that gives people the longevity that they need as far as costs are concerned. So, okay, with that, I'm happy to move this item forward, and thank you for all of the work.
Okay, we have a motion. I'm happy to second. Any additional comments? Okay, I need to vote.
And Chair Lawson, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors who are present voting.
Okay, thank you all very much. We'll now go to board committee report back.
Will have significant consequences for them. I ask that they help us with 3 things. First, we need to train a sufficient workforce to timely and accurately enroll people in Medi-Cal and CalFresh twice a year, as will be required by HR1. Second, we need investments in indigent care to ensure that low-income adults who lose health care coverage still have a safety net. And third, we need investments in behavioral health to address the loss of federal funds for I know that organizations, but I do think that we as the County of San Diego cannot and should not sit back and just wait to see what happens. We need to advocate for ourselves too as the second largest county in the state, and I hope that all of us, that's what all of us do, that all of us do what we can to make sure we get the funding that we need, to make sure our residents who rely on Medi-Cal can have food on the table and get the necessary health care. For the second thing, real quick, also wanted to share some exciting news. Last week, the California Transportation Commission approved the sale of the property on Short Street in Little Grove to the County of San Diego. This was the final step that was needed for us to purchase the land and start construction of the sleeping cabins. I want to thank county staff, especially Scott Chrisman and Deanna Beck, who went all the way up to Malibu to attend the CTC meeting in person, for all of their hard work during the last 2 years to help us get here. I also want to thank our community partners, Father Joe's Villages, the Regional Task Force on Homelessness, Jewish Family Services, and PATH for supporting this project at the CTC meeting. It takes all of us working as a team to move projects like this forward, especially given all the obstacles that were in our way. And speaking of working as a team, I sincerely want to thank my team, and especially Joshua Dunn. When it would have been easy to give up, but we didn't, and we pushed ahead. There's still a lot more work to be done to get the City Council up and running for our unhoused community members, but I wanted to take a moment and celebrate this news with all of you, and to thank my colleagues as well for your continued support of the Troy Street Sleeping Cabin project. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. How many individuals do we have for non-agenda public comment?
We have 4 left, Chair.
Okay, so we'll do non-agenda public comment, and then we will adjourn. And after doing the adjournments in memory, then we'll go to closed session.
Thank you, Chair Lawson. Like it noted, we do have 4 requests left for non-agenda public comment. 2 of those coming via person, 2 of those coming via phone. So for anyone that has requested to speak via phone, if you could please dial into the conference line now with the instructions that were provided to you. We will go ahead and begin with the in-person speakers. I'd like to invite forward to the podium Cesar Javier and Catherine Rose. So each have 2 minutes to address the board.
As we go deeper in our experience, we are hard. We were, and we are, and we will be heard. Not until the APCD City of San Diego elected officials will exist in this region. They should step down, and there is a long line of willing public servants. Mama Gire, Ma'am Rina, you are with the APCD, your classmates Rivera then, now Dr. Campbell, who cannot eradicate or clean up the city hall of urine. They should have been cited for collusion, but because they are members of the planning board, they are free. No massage of penalty. In our case, we have presented our case. They came to our home. I volunteered our property for them to set up the smelling equipment. They didn't do it up to now. And as we have said, go deeper. This is a environmental hazards that should be the priority program of the county, the city, or any agency for the sake of San Diegans. Our question is, when do we solve this environment which is killing us? Your child, Ma'am River, on your lap is now contaminated. It's in here. Ma'am Aguirre, your body is contaminated. Ma'am Steve, oh, very Steve, sorry. You are now contaminated because of the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat. Let's wake up.
Thank you, sir.
Let's help one another. Thank God.
Hello, this is Catherine Rose, and I want to just mention, yesterday you had your Consumer Fairness and Public Protection Unit that's actually looking into his toxic waste problem that he's been coming everywhere for years. Please actually look into it. Please help him out. He's begging for help. Now you can actually help him because the DA will do nothing. Please look into it, please. So anyway, thank you, Supervisor Montgomery Stubb for saying that don't get this in your district. When it first came here, probably about 7 years ago, it was surplus property. You guys were going to gift it to the San Diego Housing Commission. I came here and said, please do not do that. Please do not do that. Please keep the land as yourself. Keep ownership of the land and just lease it out. And thank goodness that's what you guys did. You kept you own those 403 units. It's not about the San Diego Housing Commission. They have to do what you want them to do. You have so much power on this. And so, they're going above your heads without telling you about what they're doing with your property, and they're messing with these, people who have mental retardation. They're messing with these seniors. They're jacking up the rents 10%. People say they don't have anything to do. They have so many problems. They have problems with all the parking spaces is being rented out, I guess they rented out parking spaces to SDG&E in order to make money for EV spaces. They're making money off the backs of poor people. They're not supposed to be doing that. You put in $59 million into this project. San Diego Housing Commission put in a measly like $6 million, and the rest were the state tax credits. This is your project, not their project. You can actually help them so much, and we just, Mandy Havlick and I came here to beg for help. And please give it to your CAO. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Lawson, you're not seeing any of the phone callers connected. That concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this afternoon.
Okay, thank you all very much. Do you have any agenda number? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to adjourn today's meeting in memory of daughter, sister, auntie, and friend, Olivia, who passed away after a courageous battle with cancer. Alice was born on September 26, 1991, and from the very beginning she radiated strength, love, kindness, and a light that naturally drew people to her. She was beautiful inside and out, always thoughtful and genuinely engaging. She also had a signature love for all shades of pink, whether it was hot pink, light pink, shimmer pink, and sparkle pink. The colors she loved reflected the vibrancy and joy she carried with her every day. Alice had a remarkable way of connecting with others, forming friendships wherever she went, from San Diego to Washington, D.C. to Hawaii. Alice loved people, and people loved her in return. Whether at the beach, the park, a casual lunch, or family gathering, she had a way of making you feel that you've known her all your life. Alice lived her life with intention and found joy in simple but meaningful moments. She enjoyed sunsets, music, the ocean, and deep conversations with friends and even strangers. She cherished her role as auntie to her nieces, Ava and Claire, adored her cat, Riz. Most of all, she treasured time spent with the people that she loved. Alice was a graduate of San Diego State University. She worked alongside her sister, Kimberly Miller, at Miller Public Affairs, where she not only contributed professionally, but also built lasting friendships with colleagues. Alice's commitment to service was evident in the many organizations and communities she supported. She was active with the Ocean Discovery Institute, the San Diego and Imperial County Labor Council, the San Diego Mutual Foundation, and neighborhoods such as City Heights, Habul, Linda Vista, and Mission Bay. She also gave her time to food and toy drives and held a special place in her heart for Lincoln High School and the High. Alice was a giver of light and love. Her family and friends were truly blessed to have her. She was a loving daughter, sister, auntie, niece, sister-in-law, cousin, and friend whose presence made every space brighter. Though cancer ultimately took her life, Alice faced it with faith and courage. She was not afraid, finding peace in her belief that she was going to heaven. Alice is survived by her loving family, her wide circle of friends, and all those whose lives she touched. We extend our deepest condolences to them. May her memory be a blessing to all that knew her.
Thank you. We now proceed to closed session.
Board will now recess into closed session to consider those matters listed under item 30 on yesterday's agenda, as well as item 1 on the next regular meeting of the board will take place on April 21st at 10 a.m.